Hi, I'm Jim Denison with Denison Forum, and this is the daily article for Thursday, May 13th, 2021. The title is Liz Cheney Removed by Republicans from Leadership Role, the story behind the story in politics, Israel, culture, and our souls. Elizabeth Lynn Cheney has been representing a Wyoming congressional district in the U.S. House of Representatives since 2017. She's been serving as the House Republican Conference Chair, the third highest position in House Republican leadership as well. She's the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney and one of the best-known figures in Washington, D.C. However, her repeated opposition to former President Trump's claim that the 2020 election was stolen has led to rising opposition within her party. Yesterday, in a much anticipated move, House Republicans voted to remove her from her leadership role. On the other side of the Republican spectrum, more than 100 former party officials will release a letter later today stating that they will back the creation of a third party if the Republican Party does not break with Mr. Trump and change course. Meanwhile, the publication The Hill reports that, quote, fissures within the Democratic Party are starting to open up, end quote. Divisions are growing over tax issues, infrastructure spending, and the Biden administration's response to the growing conflict in Israel. Such political conflicts are themselves symptomatic of a larger cultural conflict. Republicans and Democrats are divided over whether expanding the government's role makes our problems better or worse. Within the parties, members are divided over whether their party should work with its opponents or double down on its governing philosophy. American politics illustrate the importance of seeking to understand the story behind the story. The tragic escalation of fighting in Israel is a second symptom of factors behind the headlines. Iran is supporting Hamas with the materials it needs to wage war on Israel because Iranian leaders believe that attacking Israel and otherwise provoking global chaos is an essential step to the return of the Mahdi, their Messiah. As Shiites, they're also opposed to Israel's recent peace initiatives with Sunni Muslim nations and want to prevent the formation of a united Sunni front against Iranian expansion. Hamas's leaders, meanwhile, are waging war against Israel because such conflict legitimizes their political position. It also distracts from their misgovernance of Gaza. For their part, some in Israel support the removal of 6 Palestinian families from East Jerusalem, which was one of the issues sparking the current conflict. They do that because they oppose a two-state solution and want to reclaim the biblical land of Israel. A third example of the story behind the story is this. Shannon McGinley serves on the board of Dairyfield School in Bedford, New Hampshire. She's currently the secretary of the board. She was co-chair of a capital campaign that raised $6.5 million in 5 years. The school has seen a steady increase in enrollment during her service. However, she is also the executive director of Cornerstone, a Christian organization. As a result, the comedian and activist Sarah Silverman took to her podcast last week to declare McGinley the, quote, executive director of a gay conversion center in New Hampshire, end quote, and to encourage her removal from the school board. Silverman was wrong. McGinley states that she and her organization have never promoted what she calls unwanted therapy of any kind on a minor. Nevertheless, a group ironically calling itself the Dairyfield Inclusion Alliance is opposed to, quote, someone with such outspoken homophobic and transphobic views to serve as a trustee and board officer. Here's the larger story. Many in our culture now see a person's right to their so-called authentic sexual orientation and gender identity as the path to their flourishing. They therefore demand that society embrace such people with full dignity and affirmation. They view anything less, which is what they assume must be true for someone who directs a Christian organization, as dangerous to society, and they seek to expose, reject, and replace such now aberrant ideology. The first step in engaging our culture is understanding our culture. It's asking the why behind the what, looking for motives that lead to words and actions. It's emulating the men of Issachar that we find in 1 Chronicles 12:32. They had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. So how do we do this? Here's the foundational deception that motivates fallen humans from Genesis 3:5. You will be like God, knowing good and evil. The serpent persuaded the first humans that they could determine their own moral truth and thus be in charge of their own lives. From then until today, our enemy seeks to do the same. A dear friend sent me a very perceptive response to my daily article on the conflict in Israel. He wrote these words: Palestinians and Jews, Hebrews and Muslims are equal in zeal and futility. Neither will persuade the other, and nothing either offers the other in the way of solution will solve the root problem, sin. My friend adds, the decline of those who identify as Christians and the rise of political parties, followed by expected and inherent conflict, led me to this thought: political parties have become America's denominations or religions, and party platforms are Scripture. My friend advises, we as followers of Jesus must be careful to follow the narrow path. We must hold fast to God for healing and to the Bible as His word and truth. Everything else, including party platforms, is merely human opinion and inherently in conflict. There is no peace or salvation to be found there. I will say more tomorrow about practical ways to hold fast to the Bible. For today, let's decide to follow the narrow path my friend describes. Ask yourself where you're being tempted to be your own God, to make others a means to your political or personal ends, to redefine morality on your terms. Look for the story behind your story. Then recognize the fact that God's thoughts are higher than yours and His plan is better than your plan. Now, identify biblical truth that speaks to your circumstances, your challenge, your temptation. Ask for God's strength to obey His word, then step into biblical obedience with courage and resolve. You will experience your Father's providential story behind the story, His eternally significant purpose for your life and your day. Charles Spurgeon was right when he said, when your will is God's will, you will have your will. So here's the question: will you have your will today?